All right, I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Palm Springs Public Arts Commission for Wednesday, May the 3rd, 2023. Jay, will you do roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Pritchard,
Here.
Commissioner Armstrong,
Here.
Commissioner Newkirk,
Here.
Commissioner Favreau is not present.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to item C, which is presentations, and I don't believe we have any, do we?
No presentations.
Okay. Item D, which is acceptance of the agenda. I want to make a slight amendment to H3. It was reading discuss and approve the location for the artwork Pinwheel. I want to also add the budget of $3,000, which is $2,500 for the installation and $500 for the signage. Does anybody else have any changes to the agenda?
No.
All right, I'm going to take a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. All right, we'll move on to public comment. Excuse
We
me.
have someone in the waiting room that I'm letting in now. Angela Oliver, we are in the public comment section of our agenda. Did you want to make public comments for the Arts Commission?
No.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, she said, no, thanks, just visiting.
All right.
All right.
Hi,
All
Angela.
right. Yes, hi. All right, I'll still read. This time has been set aside for members of the public to address the Public Arts Commission on items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission and agenda items if the member of the public cannot be present later in the meeting at the time the item is heard by the commission. Additionally, members of the public may address the commission on each item listed on the posted agenda at the time each item is heard. Although the Public Arts Commission values their comments pursuant to the Brown Act, it can generally not take any action on items not listed on the posted agenda. 3 minutes are assigned to each speaker. So we have just Angela visiting, so then I trust we have no public comment.
No public comment.
All right. All right, so moving on to remarks from the chair. Just briefly to bring Barrett up to speed with this, the purpose of this special meeting is really focused on H4, which is the discussion of pillars and that whole process from Vice Chair Armstrong. But Barrett, if you've had a chance to look at the Palm Springs Public Arts Commission plan for the downtown parks, we wanted to add a couple of items just to get them into the pipeline for the approval, which we've got the downtown art park lined up with Crawler and Madavi's piece. So we're focusing on parcel G for temporary art installations, the lawn chair, popsicles, and pinwheel if the council accepts the donation. So that's why these items are on the agenda. So that's all my remarks I have. Vice Chair, do you have any more remarks now?
Yeah, it's just, and the reason why I wrote up the plans for the downtown parks is I've been having a lot of private conversations with members of council. And as we know, they're all wholly supportive of everything that we're doing, and they want to help us as much as possible. But a couple of things have come through to me, and that is they question our strategies, and they're not questioning them, but they want more information and more concept behind the strategy. So that's why I thought if we did a write-up on, well, here's how we intend to use lot G, it will be for bright pop art, as opposed to just saying we want to put popsicles there. Let's give them context. Let's give everything a framing, if you will, of how we intend this to be. And as I said, that's the intent of that write-up, is to help position it not only for council, but for city staff and for anybody else also maybe in the commission.
Yeah, and congrats on the write-up. It's very great, because it does show a council that we do have cohesion in our thought process, that why we're doing things, so very good. All right, well, then let's move on to item H1, which is discuss and approve a budget of $9,775 for the installation of a concrete pad and for the plaque for the temporary installation of the artwork lawn chair on Block G of the downtown development for up to 2 years. And we had recently, or we had in one of our former meetings, agreed that we were going to do lawn chair on Museum Way, but we cannot do that because of the pending lawsuit. So rethinking it, and as Gary pointed out in the brief for Lot G, this gives a much more thoughtful and longer running place for it. And Barrett, you remember that lawn chair is the piece that was in front of the Skylark Hotel. Artist is Brian Boutel. It's in storage, so we need to get it out of storage. Because originally we had a higher estimate for the pad, and we sort of scaled it down slightly, so it's a little bit more affordable. So any questions or comments, or can we just move to a vote?
I'll move that we approve a budget of $9,775 for the installation of a concrete pad and plaque for the temporary installation of lawn chair on Block G.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Very good. All right, H2, discuss and approve the placement of the artwork popsicles. It's actually by John Cerny, not Tom. John Cerny and Block G of the downtown development, and the allocation of $500 for the artwork plaque. The reason we only have the plaque amount here is that we did a pre-approved purchase and $2,000 for the installation part, so that's already been approved and through the pipeline. So we just need the location and the $500 allotment for a plaque.
I just want to add one comment here. And as I said, I've been having individual meetings with council members. And the one item that comes up repeatedly is, where are you putting popsicles? We hate where it is. And I said, we have a plan. You will be getting the plan. So they all love it. They just want it to be in a better, highly visible location. So with that note, it even
Well,
come
yeah,
up last Monday.
yeah, it's time for it to move, and as just to bring up to see with the timeline, we had extended it at the request of the property owner.
Yeah.
It could have been there through October, but this sort of gels with all of the parcel G plans that we have, so we're just going to wrap it up. And John Cerny, the artist, is prepared to do the installation in June if we get all of the approval in place.
I guess a quick question on item 2 and probably 3 as well. Are these are also temporary, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and I think Jay can guide us on this. We can say for up to 2 years, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's safe. Barrett, Commissioner
Yeah.
Newkirk, the plan is to put housing there eventually. So it's a site that will be developed, kind of like Art Pit and Graffiti Park, just sort of temporary use in that sense. And, you know, I think you have a good sense of how long it takes some development to happen. So I think 2 years is safe. I would add, some engineering staff have raised concerns about the weight of objects going there. So they would like to take a look at any plans for art pieces that may be heavy in a sense, if they are planned for that site. I don't think anything we have here is really too much, but maybe, if there are a few pounds, we'll let them know.
These 3 pieces don't have any significant weight, so it would not be an issue. And we do have, certainly from popsicles, we do have original engineering when it was installed on Sunny Dunes.
And I also think that this is an elegant short-term, long-term solution for that area, because Michael Braun is starting development on the Graffiti Park this fall, and that will have a construction fence going up. So it'd be nice to have something beautiful and cheerful in that area rather than just looking like an abandoned lot. And again, because these are all pieces that we own, they can be up there, they can be there for 2 years, or they could be there for 5 years if we wanted to.
Exactly. Very good. All right, so Barrett or Gary, would you like to make a motion?
Barrett?
Yeah, I'll, let's see, where are we? I'll make a motion to approve the placement of popsicles by John Sari on Block G of the downtown development and an allotment of $500 for the plaque.
I'll second that. We both, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's so very strange being a commission of 3 people. Just have to
But
say.
it is efficient.
That's true. Well, Craig is out in a couple of minutes, so. All right, popsicles is done. All right, so H3, discuss and approve a budget of $3,000, which is $2,500 for installation and $500 for for signage, a plaque for the artwork Pinwheel by artist Larry Lubo on Block G of the downtown project. And this is, of course, dependent on city council's acceptance of the gift of the artwork Pinwheel. Chair Armstrong, do you have any comments?
No, I will add on, and this is something that we sort of went back and forth with the Clement pieces that is relevant to this. I had a discussion with Cindy Karen in the city manager's office as well about creating a consistency to all of our art plaques as well, consistency of language moving forward. Because when we were doing the Clements piece, I was running around looking at what we had throughout the city, and there's a lot of variations. So we're in agreement for simplification. We will get consistent language, treatment of council's involvement, treatment of dedication dates, and also factor that money into the budgets beforehand so we don't go through other little snafus. So again, we're just trying to simplify things and make everything easier for this commission and for city staff.
Yeah, and on that note, we are basically focused now on doing the brush steel engraved plates. We do have the language, and they pretty much always come in the budget. This one I've got for WOW, which unfortunately has to go through staff report and council for approval because we didn't factor it in when we moved it. $487.12. So that's why I'm throwing in $500, because that sort of covers it. All right. So, sorry, did we have a motion?
Oh, a question though, I guess, or a comment. I'm only vaguely familiar with Pinwheel, I think because it's the piece that Anne had in her front yard for quite a while. Is that correct?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, and I appreciate the gift, and I'm not questioning the quality or anything. I think it's great, but do we have like images and a description to share with the council?
Yeah, I think Jay had one because he sent it around a couple months ago, because I remember Commissioner Favreau said she didn't get it, and then she checked her junk folder and found it and said she wanted it.
Oh, okay. So I probably have it somewhere.
So yeah, there is a photo.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
what we think would work well in this area is that it's essentially a windmill, but it has a traditional kid's pinwheel out of metal at the top. So the idea of popsicles and this lawn chair and this pinwheel sort of add to that playful environmental feel.
And the pinwheel actually rotates with the wind, so we've got movement.
Yeah.
On that.
All right, then I move that we approve a location for Pinwheel by Larry Ludlow on Block G.
And the
Second
budget
that.
of 3,000.
Second,
Sorry, just in the motion, the budget of 3,000 as well.
Oh, plus the budget of $3,000.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. Let's move on to item H4, discuss Pillars project application requirements, guidelines, and call for artists. Vice Chair Armstrong, take it away.
Yes. Okay, so this is a big project, and I put together a broad stroke timetable of how I think this will lay out. And my goal is to get everything completed by next World Art Day, which is April 15th.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt. That document was sent to everyone, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great.
However, that's a goal. And so I'm going to take a step back from that And I'm right now working with Cindy Karen in the city manager's office on getting the application done. Because we want a digital application, and she's working with procurement as well because they need to do the programming and they need to be responsible for this. The benefit to that is everything comes pre-approved, it's legal, and then we also secure every artist's application, so we will have their information for future commission work as well. So again, my goal is to get that done 2 to 3 weeks, but I'll find out next week when we'll have that complete. And then once that they can get me the deadline, then I'll be able to circulate the language that's written and everything for everybody to see it. The one thing that I changed a bit based on looking at like commission works of this scale is to do a sort of Zoom meeting for interested artists who may have questions, so that they don't fill out their application and it's in a ill-formed way, or they misinterpreted what we've written. And so once I know when the application will go live, we'll then schedule that opportunity for the artist to have questions with us and ask that. The challenge with this is scheduling everything as well. And scheduling things not only include the application dates and when things are due and when the responses are due back and when we judge everything, but it is how do we create the jury who's going to judge this? Because if it's pushed back too far, that will change who's going to be on the commission. And then that will also change who's available for being part of the jury. I had a meeting last week with Adam Lerner of the museum, and he said he has 2 women in the collections department that he think would be good. We can choose one of them to participate as well. And I think we should have somebody from the Human Rights Commission participating as well, just as another non-art voice, because this is representing the entire city. So I sort of have a lot of people on hold without finalizing them until we know when the jurying will happen. And then we'll ensure that we sort of make the jury as representative of the city as possible. We don't want it to be all male. We don't want it to be all female. We don't want it to be all white. We just want to make sure that it's a broad cross section of people involved.
And make it an odd number.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it has to. Yeah.
We don't want any fights.
Yeah. I've been having conversations with local artists that I know that they read about in the Palm Springs Post, and they're very, very excited, and they think this is going to be a great opportunity, not only for the artists to get their work exhibited in a very prominent way, but they think that this will do a good job of articulating to the outside community that this is a place that embraces artistry and supports local artists. And as I said, all along, I want this to give favor to artists that have a footprint in Palm Springs or a history in Palm Springs. So I think that's going to be important as well. So this will make a statement not only about the art, but the artists involved.
Okay. Commissioner Armstrong, do you anticipate the one artist being able to submit for all 6 of the equities that are going to be represented?
They could, but they will only be chosen for one.
Only for one.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, so and they could submit as many different ideas as they want, and they will only be chosen for one.
Okay.
So there will be ultimately 6 distinct artists for 6 distinct equities.
Okay.
Okay.
And the sculpture itself, do you anticipate it being able to, say, branch out like a tree, or should it be more monolithic?
We've in the application in the actual mission statement, it was the pad is 5 by 5 and then a height of anywhere between 12 to 16 feet tall. So those are the sort of the box dimensions that they need to work within.
Okay.
Yeah, so it really needs to be monolithic in scale because of the median and the width and those trees that are there.
And we can't affect traffic site issues as well.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm asking because the procurement department gave me a start on what the online application would look like and the information that would go out. So I'll send that out for the commissioners to review and provide comments on. And then that would be what goes back to the procurement department for them to load in to the bidding system. It's called Planet Bids. And then we can push out the availability of the RFP at that time.
Okay. Now, one of the things I asked for was to get a distinct URL for this, to host this, and then as a redirect, because for us to get as many artists involved, there's a lot of sites like the California Arts Group, you know, state-run organization. They need a distinct URL to post this commission opportunity on their website as well. And that will increase people that we get responding. Otherwise, it's just people that happen to stumble across the Palm Springs City website.
Okay, I think.
And again, it can be, I think I sent this in an email to you, Jay, that, you know, it can be, we can purchase something like, you know, PS Pillars 2023.com, and then it just as a redirect, but we just need something to get them that can be easily posted. None of the 25 letters gobbledygook that, you know, so that way people know what it is as well.
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, Gary?
No, just as I said, the key thing for us is getting this application
Right.
live.
Yeah.
So we're sort of hindered until we get this thing going. And then, you know, once we know we have a live date, then we can fill in the blanks of all the other due dates with the schedule, choose the jurors, get them involved, and know when this thing will be complete. Because there are certain things that can't be moved. You know, we can't expect an artist to create this substantial piece within 2 months, right? They will need 5 to 6 months to complete it once the design is approved.
Exactly.
So once we get it live, we'll have to sort of retrofit everything.
And then Jay, just for purpose of knowledge for any city staff, all of the equities will be very visible and readable as people are driving the Talkwitz corridor. So it's not going to create any sort of people need to pull over and see what it is. It certainly will be exciting art installations themselves, but they will depict all of the equities very prominently, so we say.
Okay.
And Barrett, do you have any questions?
I guess, like, how wide do we want to do this call out, and are we prioritizing Coachella Valley artists or California artists in the selection?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we said in the original mission was, you know, anyone can enter, but priority will be for people who have a footprint in the city and understand the city. You know, we can't expect we're going to get 6 amazing pieces just from people that I know. You know? So there may be a lot of people that, you know, there may be some people that maybe lived here 10 years ago, and that, you know, they may have a beautiful vision for what this represents. And I also think that it, you know, we need to go Coachella Valley or Greater Palm Springs, because let's be honest, a lot of artists who represent here and are inspired here live in Yucca Valley.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, but they would get the same consideration. You know, so somebody in India or Yucca Valley, of course, because they understand the environment, they understand the types of materials needed. They have a sense of the history, the indoor, outdoor, natural, man-made, all of that.
And I think there probably are sufficient artists within the Coachella Valley, High Desert, Low Desert, and enough art organizations that as soon as we have the URL live, that it can go out to like Box Hill Projects, the Yucca Art Center, all of these places. So, but we would throw into the consideration that if perhaps a Bay Area or Los Angeles artist wanted to make a presentation.
Yeah, you know, and it's interesting. I was, for the Demuth Art in the Park, I was helping Shan identify artists for pieces of public art that were in the park. And there was a piece that we couldn't find who did it. And it was this spider bike rack, not the one that was in Sunrise Park. It was another big spider bike rack. So after much detective work and Googling, I found out it was a gentleman named Heath Satow, Satow, who did it. And I only found out it was him because of a Desert Sun article that he popped up in for the sculpture. And I think that was a call for art that the Arts Commission and Sustainability Commission did together, and it was to have the bike racks designed.
Right.
When I looked at the guy's website, it turns out Heath Sato also did the beautiful sculptural piece that's in City Hall lobby of the anti-transgender violence,
Right.
the
And
beautiful
where is he based?
butterflies. Yeah.
Where is he based?
Right now he's in Utah.
Oh.
So I would still consider him because he's got a footprint here. He has done work here. We have 2 pieces in our collection.
Yeah.
And he does exquisite work.
He does. Good.
So I'll send you a link right now in the chat so people can see it, but he does really beautiful work. And hang on, here we go. As soon as I saw his website, when I found out he did the thing, I looked at it, I was like, that looks like the piece in the lobby. And it turns out it was.
Oh, well. Awesome.
Yeah. One other thing that I think we should consider as well, and we can deal with this later, is, and this came up after conversations I had with 2 separate artists, is we may get designs from artists who have an amazing design, but they may not have what we consider to be appropriate background for doing pieces of this stature. And so we may then partner them up with a fabricator. And that's something that we consider, and that would come out of the $50,000 allotment, but we could partner them up with somebody who can ensure that this thing is stable and completely ready to go.
Yeah.
However, most of the people I've spoken to think we're going to get a lot of submissions for this once we get the application live.
Yeah, and I think we'll get applications from artists who have a depth of experience in making pieces of public art.
Yeah.
Installation. So then, do you think for our May 17th meeting, you'll have the application ready for us to review?
I've been told I should have something to look at, but Jade, what the procurement people sent you, did they look at what I'd written?
They sent me something very generic.
Yeah.
I looked at what you'd written, and so I've incorporated much of that
Okay.
into the generic piece, and I'll send it out right now.
Okay. And I'll resend to the commission what I'd written, because it was pretty straightforward that if someone in procurement had read that, they would know that it's, I specified in the instructions that you can apply as many as you want, but you're only chosen for one.
This is such an amazing and exciting project.
We can get it done.
Yeah. Well, I would say we will get it done, but unfortunately my clock is ticking, so I have full confidence that you will get it done.
Yeah, I'm just keeping it loose, and as I said, ideally I'd like it for World Arts Day, but we're not going to rush it.
Yeah.
And if it happens and the unveiling and installation is in June, it happens in June.
Exactly. That's all you can do. Just
That's all we can do.
exactly. So great work. Thank you very much, Gary.
Okay.
All right, nothing else. Should we move on to project updates, if there are any beyond what we've talked about?
I do have one update that I think is important to talk about. And that was when Barrett was out, and then I went to the Las Palmas event where they did for their sculpture with that started as a neighborhood community grant. And it was a great event. Councilman DeHart spoke and the artist was there. The artist came up to me and he said, "Oh, Brett from our installer." He said, "Oh, Brett said you're great, and I'm going to enjoy working with you." I'm like, "Oh, that's very nice of Brett. Thank you."
Well, true.
Yeah. However, when I spoke to the beautification committee, Pat and John, 2 members of the beautification committee, they start talking about the next steps of their installation, knowing full well they need to deal with the council and everything approved through the city for the installation. And I mentioned them, I said, this grant opportunity just sort of came across and you guys should consider applying for it. And I said, but it's due in 2 weeks. So I don't know if we have time to do it. And Pat sort of said, let me look at it and I'll see what I can do. So I sent her the link to the grant. And then a week later, she sent it to me and John and 2 other people who I wasn't familiar with, but I have their cell phone numbers. And they'd done the entire application. And she said, what are your thoughts? Tell me what you think I need to change. And I gave them some feedback and I just said, look, you've only chosen this as visual art. I said, if the artist is creating this, he has a beautiful studio up in Joshua Tree area. I said, have him do little mini videos on his cell phone of how he's making it, the fabrication and the design and the process and everything. I said, then it becomes educational as well. So you can click that box that this is educational. I said, create geotags for this and you can create hashtags for it. And that way, when people take pictures, the geotag automatically appears at that location and they know to tag it. And I said, then it becomes multimedia as well. And so they incorporated all of that and they submitted the application and it went in on Monday. So whether they win or not, or get a win, I guess they get the grant. It was a great process for them, and the community sort of showed that, while the Public Arts Commission supports art in many, many ways, not everything needs to come out of the Public Arts Fund. And there are other things that they can do to fund art. And we can guide them, and it would be with our approval, but it may not always be funded by us. So I think that we need to keep that in our back pocket when we get a lot of these opportunities where either other commissioners or certain communities say, we want this. It's like, yes, we agree, but it's not really supposed to come out of the Public Arts Fund. We have very strict definitions in our ordinances, and we will help you, but let's move forward.
Yeah, help them find the money.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very good. Barrett, do you have any updates on any sort of community stuff that you're up to?
No, nothing right now.
Okay. All right, then let's move on to item J, reports from director or staff.
No reports, Mr. Chair.
Anything to mention about interviews for commissioners?
Only that we're not alone. I can tell you other staff members are asking the same question for their commissions. And it is still hinging upon the mayor and mayor pro tem convening and completing interviews and making selections.
All right. Yeah, just bring it up because as we know, my term ends at the end of June and we'll be down to 3 commissioners. That's kind of slim.
Yes.
So, all right. All right, then if there's nothing else, I think we can move to adjournment, and bravo for a 30-minute special meeting. So I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting to the Palm Springs Public Arts Commission to our regular meeting, May 17th, excuse me, 2023 at 5:30 in the large conference room at Palm Springs City Hall, located at 3200 East Tockwitz Canyon Way. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, everyone. It was lovely seeing you. And I guess being that we did this in 30 minutes, it wasn't worth the drive to City Hall.
Absolutely. We'll be back there soon.
All right, very good. All right, cheers, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Jay.
Right.